It's officially NHL All-Star Week here in St. Louis. Welcome into the Faceoff alongside former Blues forward Cam Janssen. I am Hanna Yates. Cam, I feel a wave of energy coming into St. Louis with the NHL All-Star festivities just days away.
Yeah, the city's really pumped about this. All the Blues fans, hockey fans in general, are going to see the best players in the world right here in St. Louis, and it's going to be a blast. Skills competition, a lot going on in this city.
Let's hop into our first segment, the wraparound. It's not easy to wrap up the first half of the Blues season, but let's start off by making a comparison. Let's take it back to last year, flashback to last season at this time. Blues near the bottom of the entire National Hockey League, trying to work their way up. Jordan Binnington finally getting his first taste in the Blues net. Craig Berube, interim status as head coach, and the Blues were just figuring out their way. Now, we fast forward to this year, the St. Louis Blues, second place in the National Hockey League, heading into break, 68 points, only behind the Washington Capitals. What's been the biggest difference from then to now?
Well, consistency. And they had the team last year. I would say the coaching change as well. And I think it's just a different mindset in the locker room. The guys have a game plan, and they're all jumping on board. And, of course, Craig Berube with the coaching change. Then you get Jordan Binnington coming in, and he's standing on his set, gives you a little bit of life, gives you some confidence. You're getting the saves that you needed to make, and they didn't look back from there. And they all gelled. But the two biggest reasons, honestly, was, of course, Craig Berube and now Jordan Binnington, and you have a number one goalie.
Why have the Blues still been successful finding ways to win despite all of the injuries taking place?
Well, just they have guys that are just slotted right in. They understand their role. There's so many. The Blues have been so good for so long that they have a lot of great players in the minors as well that we haven't even seen yet. Nico Mikkola, Jordan Kyrou still in the minors because we've been so deep. And all of a sudden you get banged up a little bit because of all the hockey that they've played in the past calendar year. It's incredible. Guys are getting banged up, and all of a sudden you're just. Colton Bragle gets hurt. You go down the minors, and you're like, okay, do we have another 6'6" defenseman? Oh, yes, we do. Nico Mikkola, come on up. Things like that. And it's pretty cool to see when you see these young kids come up and they perform.
Now, you touched on Nico Mikkola coming up in absence of Colton Parayko, who's been placed on the injured reserve retroactive to January 2nd. Colton Parayko, question mark. Is he going to come back right after the All-Star break? Now he's been out for a while.
Why bring him back when you don't have to? Why rush him? When you know he's going to come back, he's going to play 25 minutes a night. If he's a little bit banged up, why not keep him for this 8-day break that you're going to get? You have a Nico Mikkola coming up. You got a Gunnarsson mixing in and out of the lineup. You have the depth on D. Take your time with Colton Parayko. That's exactly what they're doing. Take your time with Sammy Blais. That's exactly what they're doing. And now you have a big stretch where they could get well and get ready to be 100% coming back to their dog days of the year, the grind.
There's a lot of questions surrounding the St. Louis Blues team. You guys had questions, and we want to hear from you next. Welcome into the tweet line. This is where we want to hear from you. We asked what you wanted to know after watching the Blues in the first half of the regular season. NHL All-Star break, 68 points. They're ranked second in the NHL. This is what you had to say. Gibbs, a proud St. Louis Blues fan, chimes in, replying saying, who do you think will be the dark horse player in the second half of the season, Cam?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm going to say Justin Falk. I think he's starting to come into his own. He's been playing third fiddle. He's never been in this situation before. He has glimpses of excellence that I see, and I just think that we're going to need that depth on defense, and Justin Falk's going to be huge leading into the second half.
I like that one.
Yes.
He's
Good
started
question.
to find his way a little bit in recent games. I think that's good. Next up, we have Mark Jones. When is Big Daddy Vladdy going to be back? Insta story showed he's been skating.
Now, let me explain this. When you have shoulder surgery, if you're able and you're cleared to put on skates and not even work out skate, if your doctor gives you the green light to put skates on, that's a big step. So you don't want to fall and re-injure your shoulder. So if he's got the green light to start skating, he's moving along quite quickly.
I would say that's much quicker than we were anticipating from before. He's supposed to be reevaluated beginning of April. Blues' last home game is the 1st of April, and then playoff action begins. Hopefully he'll be back by then. Bortuzzo's cross-check / anger management chimes in saying, do you envision a timeshare net moving forward, or do they keep focusing on Binnington? That's a timeshare split between Jake Allen and Jordan Binnington in net.
They're going to play the best goaltender that's playing. Like, whoever's playing the best, that's what they're going to do. Whether it's Benner, whether it's Jake Allen, it doesn't matter. Craig Berube is going to give the team the best chance to win. And if that means Jake Allen's going to start the next 3 games straight, then that's what's going to happen.
Next up, we have one of our favorites, Sarah chiming in. First, Cam and Hannah back together again is fire. Second, the questions. Number one, how can Zach Sanford improve his game and fight for a lineup spot? He seems to be the odd one out when Blake comes back.
Well, that's true. He is the odd one out. He needs to be consistent, to stay consistent. Man, when Zach Sanford is on his game, he makes things happen up and down the ice. He plays physical. He can get out of trouble because he's extremely skilled. But then you don't notice him for 2 games. That can't happen. You're on the best team in the league. You got to stay consistent, especially when you got Sammy Blake coming back.
Sarah did ask another question, so it's right that we answer both of them. Second one, assuming 91 goes back with 10 and 17, is 9 in with 57-90, or do you slot 33 in? Now, for people who aren't familiar with the Blues' actual jersey numbers, 91, if Vladimir Tarasenko goes back in with Braden Shen and Jaden Schwartz, which was a fire line, the Schwarzshenko line, like we like to call it, is Sammy Blais in with David Perron and Ryan O'Reilly, or do you slot Jordan Kyrou in?
That's a great question. She always asks great questions, by the way. You don't want Jordan Kyrou to be on the 3rd or 4th line. So either Jordan Kyrou is going to be playing with the big boys in the top 6, or he's not. Sammy Blais, you could put him on the 4th line, you could put him on the 3rd line, you could put him anywhere. So if Jordan Kyrou is going to get ice time, he's going to be in the lineup, he's going to be playing with the big boys in the top 6. Sammy Blais, you could put him anywhere.
We always want you to be a part of the action. Every Sunday, you can respond to the KSDK Sports Twitter account to voice your Blues questions. Select questions are pulled and answered live on the tweet line. Let's take a look at the big week of hockey ahead in our pregame skate. There's no Blues game in this week's forecast, but there's still hockey in St. Louis. Cam, All-Star Week in St. Louis. Can you picture anything better coming up for the city?
Oh my gosh, the city is just pumped up about this thing. Of course, you have the best players in the world right here, Enterprise Center, and of course, we have the alumni game coming up Thursday at that beautiful Centene Rink too. So a lot of things going on in St. Louis.
The big festivities start on Thursday. Let's run through these. NHL All-Star Alumni Game at Centene Community Ice Rink. I think a familiar face might be playing in that game. Not really sure.
Yeah, I'll be playing in that game. We have a lot of superstars there. Wayne Gretzky, Brett Hall. They got actually a tough lineup, too. They got a bunch of heavyweights over that I'm going to have to deal with, so it might be a long night for me.
You're going to have to deal with. Who do you plan on taking on in this type of game? Is this the type of action we should expect to see? Well,
you just never know. You never know. So Joey Kosher, who's a very tough guy. They got Jody Shelley, who's about 6'6", 250 pounds. And they got Paul Bissonnette, who I'm 0-5 against.
Similar frame to yourself.
Yeah, 0-5 against, so it's not looking good going in for me.
Moving on to Friday, the 2020 NHL All-Star Skills Competition. Now, this is really fun. This is really where you get to see the strengths, a lot of these elite players in the National Hockey League. What is your favorite skill competition that you get to watch throughout that night?
Well, anytime you do a shootout and you get creative with that, I love to see the best of the best and just how, when they do stick handling, when Patrick Kane stick handles through a million different things. David Perron's going to probably be doing that too. He's incredible at it. It gives me a headache. They're so good sticking on the puck that fast. But the big thing for me is the women's 3-on-3. I think that's going to be the most competitive. The guys 3-on-3, there's going to be like dipsy-doodle. But I think the women's going to be very, very competitive. I'm excited to see those girls go at it and really put on a show because women's hockey in St. Louis is blowing up 100%. Right now. So there are going to be a lot of girls watching these guys go at it, and it's going to be probably the most competitive thing all weekend.
100%. Let me ask you this. Out of all of the competitions that take place, which actually requires the most skill from a player's perspective? What is the hardest task to tackle?
Well, they do a bunch of different things. Anything's tough because the spotlight's on you and you're going against one other person. So if the puck gets, you duff the puck a little bit, you're ruined and everybody's making fun of you. Then you go back to the boards and all the guys are chirping you like no other. But there's so many different skill sets where you got to go around the cones, you got to dipsy doodle this and dink out a goalie. Everything's is worth watching, and the skill set's going to be everywhere.
Of course, Saturday, the 2020 NHL All-Star Game taking place at Enterprise Center. I wanted to run through some of the players that will be there playing in this game that St. Louis fans might have a lot of interest in watching. Connor McDavid, of course, Edmonton Oilers forward, the best in the league right now. I mean, wouldn't you say, in comparison to Sidney Crosby, who's had some injury battles this season, Connor McDavid's been flying through the first half so far.
Yeah, he's a great one right now, and he's taken that over from Sidney Crosby. Although Sidney Crosby came back and scored some unbelievable goals.
Unbelievable.
They're all good, but Connor McDavid's a big guy right now. He's coming in town. That's going to be fun to watch. Of course, Matthew Tkachuk's in town. TJ Oshie will be back. So the big boys are going to be here. I wonder what kind of cheer fan cheer that Oshie's going to get when all the fans
He's
finally see him
always
back.
been a fan favorite in St. Louis. He goes over to the Washington Capitals. I'm pretty sure he still gets a standing ovation when he comes back to Enterprise Center every time. But he did a lot for this city, so rightfully so. Matthew Tkachuk, you mentioned, Calgary Flames forward, the son of Keith Tkachuk, a teammate of yours, who got himself into a little bit of a skirmish lately in a couple of games. He has that physical, aggressive style. Do you think we will see any of that in this NHL All-Star game?
I don't. I think they're sick of that. This is more like, let's go hang out, make fun of each other. If you bobble the puck, you're going to get chirped like no other. But it's no matter how we act when you play in a real game, how much hatred there is that you see from sitting up top. When the guys get together, they push that all aside and they all hang out as hockey players, and they all love each other.
Craig Berube, Blues coach, will be behind the bench for the Central Division team. There will be 4 Blues All-Stars there at one time. And my question, you have a David Perron forward, you have a Ryan O'Reilly forward, you have an Alex Pietrangelo playing defense, a Jordan Binnington in net. Is there a chance that all 4 Blues players will be able to play on the ice at one time?
I would think so. And if they go back in the history of this year, they probably want to give the puck to David Perron because he's pretty good on 3-on-3s. He scored a lot of goals this year so far. So that'd be a tough line to deal with. And at Enterprise Center, too, the fans are in for a treat this week.
That's all for this week. Be sure to tune in Thursday through Saturday for all of your NHL All-Star Weekend coverage. This has been the Faceoff for former Blues Cam Janssen. I'm Hanna Yates. Have a great day.